acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is James Go, and these are your 3 o'clock headlines. A BC resident's body was found along a beach in Australia. Queensland authorities say that the body was found surrounded by dingoes along a beach in Garee. The woman was later identified as 19-year-old Piper James of British Columbia. Her friend Brianna Falk says the pair met 3 years ago at a high school in Campbell River, and her heart dropped when she heard the news.
We had so many plans, and she was so young, and you never think that it's going to be somebody that you know, let alone one of your closest friends.
Police say an autopsy will determine the cause of death. A 29-year-old woman has been arrested for allegedly attacking a stranger with a knife in Vancouver. Police say the attack happened early Sunday morning in the downtown east side, when a group of people reported to a patrolling officer that a friend had been slashed in the shoulder. The officer then chased down and tasered the suspect before arresting her, and she is now facing 2 charges of assault. Police also say the woman was wanted on a Canada-wide warrant for parole violations when she was arrested. The Vancouver Fire Department has had a unique vessel as part of their fleet since 1928. Our reporter Riley Cunningham has more on the fireboats keeping the coast safe.
Fireboat 1 monitors the shores in and around Vancouver's False Creek, ready to put out a fire at a moment's notice. Operated by the Vancouver Fire Department for nearly 100 years, the fireboats play an integral role in the region's fire and rescue operations. Sarah Mickelson, a member of the Marine Emergency Response Team for 4 years, explains just how much area the fireboats are able to cover.
So we have an agreement with the Port of Vancouver to protect all the shorelines, as well as with that agreement we protect West Vancouver, North Van District, and North Van City.
Burnaby and Port Moody also used to be part of the agreement, but opted out due to cost. Riley Cunningham, BCIT News.
BC Forest Minister Ravi Parmar says the government is postponing changes to the law that governs the designation and protection of heritage sites. He says the goal is to bring forward legislation that speeds up development, but that the government needs more time to consult with First Nations, industry, and other groups. Parmar says the communities like Lytton, which was largely destroyed by wildfires in 2021, should be able to rebuild faster while also protecting archaeological sites important to First Nations. He says it's possible to come up with changes that can streamline more projects while protecting heritage sites at the same time. A local dog owner is searching for volunteers who can rescue a dog from Iran. With the nationwide crisis happening in Iran, she says it is difficult to bring them to Canada. Reporter Jonah Jung has more.
Crystal Shearman is a local dog owner who adopted a dog, Anjo, from Iran back in 2018. After losing Anjo to a heart disease, she is trying to adopt an Iranian dog called Alfie through Loved at Last Dogs, a Vancouver-based dog adoption agency. It recruits volunteers to fly with the dogs to Canada from other countries.
So we were really excited to find another dog that kind of reminds us of our old dog, because that's a big hole in our hearts right now.
Jan Olsen, founder of the agency, says it is difficult to adopt dogs from Iran since it is challenging to travel to the country with its airspace being closed. Jonah Jung, BCIT News.
Winnipeg officials say new population estimates released last week by Statistics Canada show the city has surpassed 850,000 residents. The city says Winnipeg added more than 8,200 new residents in 2025, giving the city the 5th highest total population increase of any municipality in Canada. Mayor Scott Gillingham says the growth shows why it's important to invest in housing, infrastructure, transit, and public services. Quebec Finance Minister Eric Girard says he shared his concerns with his Ontario counterpart about the province's intention to remove Crown Royal whiskey from government-owned liquor stores. Girard says that now is not the time to further disrupt Canadian supply chain. Ontario Premier Doug Ford has said the Crown Royal boycott is in retaliation for its parent company deciding to close its bottling plant in the province, affecting 200 jobs. The Quebec Finance Minister's comments come a week after Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew also asked Ford to reconsider the boycott. Today marks 1 year since U.S. President Donald Trump took office. So far, the Trump administration's international policies have been highlighted by annexation threats against other countries. Trump has called for Canada to be the 51st state, as well as demanding the U.S. own Greenland and taking back the Panama Canal. Vancouver Island University Chair in Trust and Political Leadership Michael McKenzie is surprised by Trump's aggressive policies.
I expected a lot of bad things from Trump because he told us all the things he was planning to do. I did not expect him to become an international imperialist. All indications up to this year were that he didn't really want to get the U.S. engaged in foreign wars. He told his supporters that. But now that he's consolidating power, he's thinking, well, maybe that looks pretty good.
Israeli forces have targeted 2 United Nations facilities as part of their crackdown on the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. On Tuesday, crews bulldozed the United Nations Relief and Work Agency's office in Sheikh Jarrah and fired tear gas at vocational school in Kalandia. The agency's West Bank director, Roland Frederick, said this marks the culmination of 2 years of measures against the UNRWA in East Jerusalem. Israel's foreign ministry said the demolition enforced a new law banning the UNWRA, claiming the agency has ties with militant groups. Israel has long claimed the agency has an anti-Israel bias, often with little evidence. French President Emmanuel Macron is making it clear to other world leaders and business leaders in Switzerland that mutual cooperation among allies is the only way to ensure global economic stability. Macron made these comments after President Trump shared a message that he says was from Macron regarding Trump's desire to take over Greenland. In his speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Macron said the U.S. threat to impose more tariffs on countries who challenge the takeover of Greenland won't help the global economy thrive. Macron also said other European leaders could implement an anti-coercion mechanism which could impose sanctions and other penalties on the U.S.
I mean, it doesn't make sense to have tariffs and be divided, and even to threaten now with additional tariffs. We can use the crazy thing is that we can be put in a situation to use the anti-coercion mechanism for the very first time vis-à-vis the US if they put additional tariffs.
In weather, we are nearly at today's high at 9 degrees, and it will briefly hit 10 degrees around 4 o'clock. Clear skies for today and into the night. However, that pesky fog will stick around and reappear tomorrow. So that's all our news for now, but stick with us because we still got some sports to cover. We'll start in hockey with Vancouver Canucks head coach Adam Foote having some harsh words after yet another loss. The Canucks lost 4-3 to the Islanders on Monday night, losing a franchise record 11th straight game. Foote says it's the veterans that feel defeated first, and that the culture within the organization has to change.
We get off our game, we get frustrated, and we overcomplicate it, and, slamming the gate and things like that. It's something we got to get out of our culture. Our culture's not going to be that anymore.
Canucks general manager Patrick Allvin said back in December that the team did not have a culture problem. The Canucks' next game will be Wednesday night against the Washington Capitals. The Vancouver Whitecaps have announced that the team has made a trade with the New England Revolution. Vancouver will receive $125,000 in general allocation money, as well as a 2027 MLS Super Draft pick. In exchange, the Whitecaps have given up the discovery priority rights for 23-year-old midfielder Griffin Yao. 2 athletes who helped Canada win its first Olympic ski jumping medal will be back at the Milan Cortina Games. Olympic veterans Abigail Strait and Mackenzie Boyd-Clues were announced as part of Canada's 4-member team. They will be joined by Natalie Eilers and Nicole Moorer, who are making their Olympic debuts. Strait and Boyd-Clues were part of Canada's mixed ski jumping team that won a historic bronze medal at the 2022 Beijing Games. 2-time Paralympian Rob Shaw is retiring from wheelchair tennis after competing at the Australian Open. The 36-year-old from North Bay, Ontario, played most of his career in the quad division. He currently has 54 ITF titles, the most combined titles of any Canadian. Shaw won gold in 2019 and silver in 2023 at the Pan American Games and competed at the Paralympic Games in 2021 and 2024. He will begin play at his 11th and final Grand Slam on January 27th. The Indiana Hoosiers defeated the Miami Hurricanes in the College Football National Championship game 27-21. Led by head coach Curt Cignetti, Indiana has completed a perfect 16-0 season, the first in college football since Yale in 1894. It is the first national title in the program's 132-year-old history. U.S. President Donald Trump congratulated the team on their historic victory.
Congratulations to Indiana. It was really turned out to be a great game. Two great teams, wonderful teams with a lot of talent. We enjoyed it very much.
Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza will be leaving for the NFL draft. The Champions League has resumed after its winter break with several key matches today. In a battle of two undefeated teams, Arsenal managed to defeat Inter Milan 3-1, keeping their undefeated season alive. Real Madrid crushed Monaco 6-1, bumping them up to second on the table. Tottenham also won against Dortmund 2-0, bumping them up to fourth. We also had two stunning upsets during today's matches. Glimt defeated Man City 3-1, while Sporting CP defeated Paris Saint-Germain 2-1. In basketball, the Toronto Raptors are back in action tonight when they visit the Golden State Warriors. Toronto has lost two in a row, including a 17-point loss to the Los Angeles Lakers on Sunday. Both sides will be without key players for this game. Toronto will be without starting guard/forward RJ Barrett and center Jakob Poeltl due to injury. Meanwhile, the Warriors announced today that forward Jimmy Butler will be out for the season with a torn ACL. That's all for now. Thank you again so much for listening. Once again, my name is James Ngo, and you're listening to BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
When I tell people that I study journalism, they immediately say, oh, you want to be a reporter. But I think, in my case personally, I really want to go into magazines, PR, social media, and I think here at school we learn a lot of skills that allow you to go into that world because you learn how to write for social media, social content, for websites,